coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Mary. And Mary has a question about candle magic. And this is a question which was asked of Mary by a friend, and she gave an answer with which I am going to substantially agree. And the question was this: if you have used a large candle for a small spell and you have a lot of candle left, are you obliged to get rid of that candle, or can you reuse it for other purposes? And Mary's answer was that she thought it was appropriate to cleanse and repurpose the candle and reuse it, or to perhaps instead choose a different format, such as a multi-day spell similar to a novena, and that these would be good ways of making sure your large candle got used. And I'm in agreement that it would be very wasteful to simply throw out that candle, or even if it's not required by the spell, to let it burn down if it's a very large candle. Rather, I think it is better to reuse it. Now, some spells do require that the candle that you use, if you're using a candle in the spell, they do sometimes require it burn out all the way. That's a different question. We're talking about spells that do not require that, such as your average paper burning, or many other kinds of candle magic. But some kinds of candle magic do require you to use that whole candle, in which case, in my opinion, you should not use a very large one if you're not doing a very large spell, in terms of how long you expect it to burn. But generally speaking, I would agree that you can cleanse and recharge that candle and use it as often as you need. You can use it for similar spells, you can use it for different spells. And my theory is this: our ancestors did not have access to the disposable society that we tend to live in, and probably would not have approved of how easily we throw things out. If they used a candle, they used that entire candle, and they were relatively expensive items. So I would have to say that traditionally I don't think people would have thrown them out, certainly, or even necessarily used them for a single spell if it was not needed. Of course, if it's needed to do that, it's another matter. So I would say, cleanse your candle, re-bless it, reuse it. And we have a secondary question for this vlog from Rev Jon, who has this same kind of question about candles you have used for burning spells. And I referred to burning spells earlier, but we're going to address this separately. And my answer to that is that if you use a candle for a burning spell, that certainly does not mean you cannot use it for something else after. Again, you want to cleanse it, recharge it, but if you've only used it for burning, you'll only be using it for a few minutes under normal circumstances, and that's certainly not going to use up a whole candle, and it would be wasteful not to reuse it for something else. Now, again, there are certain spells which do require the candle to be completely burned. Your own feeling may lead you to believe that you should completely burn a candle for certain things. So I'm certainly not saying that's not good to do. I'm saying it's not necessary to do, and that you want to have an eye to using your tools to their best purpose. And using a large candle for a single small spell is not necessarily its best purpose when you can use it for many. You might also consider keeping a special candle for burning spells, for example, and using it only for that purpose, but for many burning spells. So those would be my thoughts on the matter. I hope you find them helpful, and until next time, may you blessed be. Please join me for our Correllian Peace Prayer. I pray for peace. I pray for love. I pray for stability. I pray for the nation where I live. I pray for the world.